Joining us right now on the phone, he's got a couple of guests lined up, including Texas Senator Charles Perry and Texas Senator Paul Bettencourt, joining us here on the program to talk about a property tax reform public hearing going on over at Texas Tech. It'll be held this morning, and if you're interested in property tax reform, and I believe many people would be, this is a place and a meeting that you need to attend. And Senators, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Chad.
Howdy, Chad.
Well, I appreciate you coming on today, both of you coming on the show today. Talk to us a little bit, and we'll start with Chairman Bettencourt. Talk to us a little bit about these public hearings that you're having, not only here in Lubbock, but I assume throughout the rest of the state, correct?
That's correct, Chad. We've already been started in Austin, went to San Antonio, been down to the Valley, and Senator Perry has us hosting us up here in Lubbock today. And really what started all this is the Lieutenant Governor has put together a committee of 7 senators to go around the state and talk to people about property taxes. And the problem with property taxes is that they're rising about 3 times faster than personal income, and we're pushing home ownership to a risk point. So we're up here wanting to talk to the folks and also talk to the people that use property tax dollars, like the county and the city, about possible solutions to slowing this train down.
Senator Perry, what are you hearing from, obviously, the folks in your district, but the folks here in Lubbock and throughout West Texas? What are they saying to you about the issue of property taxes?
Well, I think to sum it up pretty quickly, it's people are making decisions whether to buy real estate, i.e. personal houses now, on their tax bill. It's become a decision factor for people whether they want to move to the next level. And so they all believe that it's, one, it's got an element of subjective to it, that it's unpredictable. 2, it's just reached a level where people are having to make buying decisions for home ownership, and that's a problem. That's not what that's not the American dream that we all seek.
Well, and as we know out here, the housing market's booming out here in Lubbock, and it's it's doing well throughout the rest of the state too. What do you think that, from what you hear today, how will that impact what you and the rest of the senators do moving forward in the next legislative session?
There's multiple things. One, we're going to get a good feel for, is it really the issue that we believe it is based on polls that we just take around the state. Second, it gives the senators a perspective. We are a very culturally, economically, and geographically diverse state, and it gets them into various areas of the state, and if there's a consistent theme that reinforces the need to go back to Austin and try to develop better legislative framework. And thirdly, it's just good place for people to be able to come and air their concerns and not have to make a trip to Austin. The irony is it's the working people that can't get to Austin to have their position heard, so we brought this out to Lubbock. I applaud the Lieutenant Governor and Senator Bettencourt, Chairman Bettencourt, to schedule it, because we are going to hit the entire state to have perspective when we go back to Austin. And from that, what we'll either be able to do is tweak the current system, make it a better, more predictable, more subjective, and hopefully limiting system to where people can have some relevance of expectation. If they buy a house, they can afford to stay in it. Or we'll come up with a whole different funding for state government that works better out of the process. But bottom line is it's just, this is a representative form of government, and people are going to get to hear have their voice heard today.
Chairman Bettencourt, are you hearing a common theme throughout the state of Texas when you hold these hearings?
We're hearing the common theme, which is that property taxes are rising too fast and they're too high. And when you go to a hearing in the Valley and then you come to Lubbock, and I expect to hear that same theme here, it's because people are writing bigger checks. Now, statewide, Chad, let me give you some numbers, that over the last 9 years, property taxes have gone up 70%, but median household income has only gone up 26%. Now, because of the boom that you mentioned in Lubbock, actually in Lubbock County, property taxes have risen, the levy has risen 105% in 9 years, and personal income's up 32%. But that's almost a 3-to-1 ratio, where every year property taxes is rising, 3 times faster than the average family income. And that's putting a squeeze on homeowners, And, of course, business owners, get to pay a lot of property taxes because they not only pay on the real estate, what they own, what the buildings, but they have to pay on their inventories and their machinery as well.
We are visiting with Texas Senators Paul Bettencourt and also Senator Charles Perry here on the program. Senator Perry, what do people need to know as far as the hearing here in Lubbock? What's the information they need to have?
It's 11 o'clock. It's at the International Cultural Center there on Tech Campus. The best way to get there is to go down 4th Street, take north on Indiana, look to the east or to the left as you're going south. It's basically behind the Ranging Heritage Center. There's a big silver world globe. When I tell people it's the globe, they know exactly what we're talking about. Off of Indiana, come in from the north side down 4th Street, and you can't miss it. But 11 o'clock, come prepared to talk for 3 minutes. No more. We'll hold tight to that, depending on the number of people there. It could be a long day. And I would suggest you write your comments down. It's easy to get off a tangent and get a little nervous, but this is the people's forum, and don't be nervous. Just come and share your heart. That's what we learn, how to legislate better when people do that.
Absolutely. And Chairman Bettencourt, if people are not able to make it out today, if they've got to work, if they can't just take time off, how can they get information to you and really anyone else if they have comments?
Well, if you go to the Texas Senate website, you'll be able to actually watch the streaming results, because we're actually streaming this across the state of Texas. And one thing, Chad, too, we'll be probably going to 3 or 4 o'clock. So if people have time to come down when they're on their lunch break, great. If they want to testify, if they just want to listen, we'd love to have them.
Great.
Because it's important that Charles and I have talked that people's voice be heard, and if they're having trouble with property taxes, then we want to talk to them, because we do have some solutions we're going to be looking at. But basically, what we want is for people to get engaged, and I'm glad that we make the flight to Lubbock so people can come talk, because, as Charles said, not everybody can take off and get to Austin in a legislative session.
Absolutely. Chairman Bettencourt and Senator Charles Perry, appreciate both of your time today. 11 a.m. at the Texas Tech International Cultural Center. It's the building with the globe. Encourage everyone to head out there if they have comments on property tax reform. Should be a very interesting hearing that y'all have here in Lubbock. And thank you again for having one here in Lubbock.
Thank you for having us, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good day. That's Senators Charles Perry and Paul Bettencourt here on the Chad Hasty Show. When we come back, we'll get into some other statewide news, your phone calls as well. If you need any more information on the Texas property tax reform public hearing, you can go to KFYO.com, search for that, and you can bring up the news story there at KFYO.com.